Hello again, everyone. This is Zombie Kids Rule, and I'm going to make a quick video here, or relatively quick. There was a user over on the Steam discussion pages for RPG Maker MZ, and they were looking for a way to, if I remember correctly, do random background music. And I indicated that I was doing that in my Sudoku game, and once I got the functionality implemented, I would make a tutorial, describing, showing how I did it. So that's what this is. This tutorial is all about. It is how one way that you could do random background music. Now, there is a very simple way you could do it, and that is with just a lot of conditional branches, where you use the conditional branches and you just use the event command for playing background music, and you'd have to have a conditional branch for each song, each background file that you wanted to play. But because I had so many in my Sudoku game, I have over 400 background music files. I wanted a much easier way to do it. So this, I'll show you what I did. And I haven't made a tutorial for quite some time, but my usual caveats are, look, this is not the only way to do this. This may not even be the best way to do this. This is just a way that I have discovered to do it, and I am implementing it in my own game, and it's working. It's working fine. So take that for what it is. Hopefully it helps some folks. So right off the bat, first thing I'm doing here, I'm just going to highlight the areas of the events that are applicable. So this control variable right here, what that is doing is it is essentially setting the audio level. So the variable is audio level, and that is the current background music volume. So it's set to audio manager dot underscore current BGM dot volume. So it's being set to the volume. And the reason I'm doing this is because in my game, the player can change the background music volume in increments of 5 up or down. So that's not really about random background music. Is more about playing with the volume. So one of the things that I did was I wanted to use arrays, and in my game, the player can see the background music category. So I'm using all of the RPG Maker games or RPG Maker engines. I'm using all the background music. So the player can see the category of the background music, which is the RPG Makers. They can see the title of the background music. And then in order to make this work, you also have to have the actual file name to use in a script. So what I'm doing here is I'm creating arrays. So this control variable 1008, this is creating an array named BGM cat name array. So basically this is an array of the category names. And as you can see here, arrays start with a position of 0, and I didn't want to use 0 for particular reasons, and so the first position of this array is empty. So it's just 2 quotation marks with nothing in there. That is, there's no value there, and it's the position 0. Essentially, this is never being called. And then the rest of this is the name of the RPG Maker. So in quotations, right, RPG Maker MZ, and then comma. So in an array, you just offset or I should say you separate your strings by a comma. So anything inside of these quotations is a string that I'm going to use. This is going to actually be displayed. So that's what this array is. So I've highlighted this in previous videos. You take a variable down in script. Inside of these brackets is your array, and then anything inside of quotation marks, it means you're using a string instead of a number, and those have to be offset by commas, or I shouldn't say offset. They need to be separated by commas. So this is just an array of all of the RPG Maker names. Then I am using another variable to basically for a background category. Each one of these background categories is assigned a number, and I'm using that. I'll show you why I'm using that in a minute. So RPG Maker MZ is a 1, RPG Maker MV is a 2, and that's what this comment is reminding me. MZ is a 1, MV is 2, VX Ace is a 3, and so on and so forth. So there's a variable that is assigning the category a value to the category number. So there's a category name and a category number. Then to display this value, right, what I'm doing is I'm taking another variable, 1006, and naming it, right? So BGM cat name display, and here is the script: $game variables dot value. Now inside these parentheses is 1008. That's the variable number. So the variable number, which is the array. So basically this is saying, what this script is saying, hey, in this array, 1008, right? So variable 1008 in this array, take whatever is in position 1. So the 2 brackets here, the number inside that is the position. So if this was a 0, then it would be pulling this empty string. A 1, RPG Maker MZ. A 2, RPG Maker MV. And so that's all that is doing. Now, later on, what you'll see is that I replace the number in these brackets with this variable. So instead of having this be a number, this would actually be inside here. So inside here would actually be $game variables dot value, and then in parentheses the variable number. So it would be variable 1005. And then that way, by doing that, whenever this variable changes, it will pull the string from the appropriate position from this array 1008. So I don't have to manually assign this of like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's automatically being done by whatever the value of this variable is. Okay, so now I have my array that is storing the category names. I have my variable, which is storing the number of the category, right? And then I have this variable, which is actually going to be one of these strings, because it's basically pulling a string from the appropriate position in that array 1008. And basically I'm going to do this over and over again for the different things. So that's the category. Well, then I also want to do 2 things. I need the background file name. That's what's used to actually play the background music in a script. So these arrays are establishing the background file names as they are in the database for each of these different categories. So there's MZ, MV, VX Ace, VX, right, etc., etc. And what this is you see where this says Battle 1, Battle 2, Battle 3, right? If I were to just go here and play background music, that's what these are, right? So Battle 1, Battle 2, Battle 3, Battle 4. And what you'll see is that I ended up putting into the database for the background music all of the makers. And so I needed, right? I mean, I could just use the event command to do this, but I'd have to have a ridiculous number of common events. I'm sorry, not common events, conditional branches. So instead, I I made an array for MZ, and I put all the titles of the background files as strings in this array. And I did that for each of the categories. And then, just similar to what we talked about with the categories, I have a variable that is for the file number, right? And that's going to be used to identify the position of the title or the background file that I want to pull from the array. And then this variable, okay, another variable, is being set to you notice up here, it's the variable number for the array. Okay, so this variable is being set to 1010, which is actually the same as the variable number for this array, for the MZ array. And then this is the script that is basically getting the ID for the BGM file. This is what's going to be used to actually play the BGM file. So it's a variable, 1003, BGM ID for script, and essentially it is $gamevariables.value, right? And then inside, so normally inside these parentheses, right, you would have a number, right? Well, I'm going to use a variable instead of a number. And the variable I'm using is the value of 1029, right? Well, what is 1029? Well, 1029 is this, right? So 1029 is the value 1010, and that is this array. So this is just another way where instead of changing this number inside, instead I can change the variable number that's being, the value of the variable that's being called. And as you can see up here, these are sequential. So once I set this variable to 1010, inside my programming, I can just increase or decrease this by 1 as I scroll up and down, or the player scrolls up and down their choices of songs. Okay, so that's why I'm doing that, right? So this is basically taking the variable 1029, which is this value, and it's basically pointing to this array. And again, it's taking that string from position 1. And again, later on, I'm replacing this 1 with this variable. So this 1 gets replaced with a $gamevariables.value and then 1018, right, inside here. So again, you can use variables to identify the position that you want to call from an array. Okay, so this is very similar to the categories above. Then, right, so this is actually getting the BGM file name that is needed to actually play the background file, the background music. This next set is, I want to display in my game, I'm displaying the name of the BGM to the player, but I don't want it to appear like the actual BGM file, because you'll notice here this BGM file is rmmv03_a_gentle_breeze. I didn't want to show the player that. Instead, I wanted the player to just see a gentle breeze, because they're going to know that they're in the category MV, right? And so the name that I want to show for the song is A Gentle Breeze. So again, I repeated the same thing. I took a bunch of variables, sequential variables, created arrays, so created an array with a bunch of strings in them, which is the title of the song I want to show. Then I took a variable, set that to the BGM number. That means basically for me, that's the number of the song, right? So MZ has I can't remember now, 54 background file music, I think. The most of anyone has 141, and so this is the song number. This is a variable that is going to be used to identify the array. So you notice 1020 is actually the variable number of an array. And then here is that, oh, I want a variable to store the name that I'm going to display, and it's the same as before. So $game variables dot value, and then in the parentheses, instead of a number, it's a variable, and it's 1028, which is 1028, which is a value of 1020, which means it's actually pulling from this array. And then this position number is 1, right? So it's pulling from this right here, not position 0, position 1. And again, later on, I replace this with a variable thing and use 1002 here. Okay, I just didn't do it here when I was initially building it. And then that's how I set up the music. So basically, if you didn't want to display anything to your player, if you didn't want them to see a category, if you didn't want them to see a song number, all you need is the BGM file name. So you create an array of all your BGM file names. And you can get those by just going to your game folder, to the audio folder, and you'll see the names right there, okay, as OGG files, right, .ogg files. So you could create an array of the BGM file number, and that's what you're going to use in the randomly deciding what is playing. And again, I used a file number, a variable to identify the actual number of the file, and then I'm going to use a variable in order to put it to figure out what the actual ID value is that I need for the BGM script. Okay, so that's how I set it up. Then this event right here is what is doing the work for my changing background music. So basically, it's changing the background music every 1 to 5 minutes. Okay, and I mean, I'll just highlight this, but it's just simple things. I have a variable that is going to be used for a loop count. I'm fading out the background music, so when this turns on, whatever background music is playing gets it fades out. Now this is a parallel event, so once this switch is turned on, this event starts running, because it's going to change background music every 1 to 5 minutes until this switch gets turned off. Okay, so at the beginning, switch comes on, this starts to run, it fades out whatever background music is currently playing. Wait of 180 frames, that's essentially 3 seconds. So the event is waiting while the background music is fading out. Then what this is doing is this is just unique to my game. This is about if I don't want the categories to change. So this is just unique to my game. If I don't want the categories to change, then it basically will skip over the changing of the background category. If I do want the categories to change, then essentially I have 7 categories. It's going to randomly pick a number 1 to 7. Okay, and then what this is doing is I want the category to change. So if the random number that is picked 1 through 7 equals the current background category, so let's say this rolls a 1 and the background category is 1, well, I don't want that. I want the category to change, so it jumps to label retry and it does it again. Okay, that's all that's doing. So then I change my background category variable, the number of the background category, to the random number. So I'm updating the category number. variable. And then I'm updating the name that's going to be displayed. And so you'll notice here that it's using the variable 1008, which isn't here because it was set up back in the at the beginning where I already showed you, right? So it's pulling. This is an array. Okay, so a variable 1008 is an array, and this is that position number. So it's using variable 1005 to identify the position number inside the array. So you notice the brackets, right? The brackets are the position number of the array. So instead of a number like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's the value of variable 1005. And so these have already been established, right? The arrays were already previously established. And 1005 is where I'm updating that category number. So this is simply saying take the value of this variable as the position number and get the string from that position number in variable 1008, which is an array. Okay, then this is unique to my game. If the location where the player is this, it's going to jump over some stuff. If the location is here, that means they're on a particular menu. That means you have to update the display name of the category using a particular show picture. If it's in a different location, meaning they're on a different menu, they have to update a different picture. So this is unique to my game. Then what's happening is there's a series of conditional branches that say, hey, if the background music category number is 1, then you need to update these variables, right? So you're updating the variable for the BGM file name array, because I want to make sure I'm pulling from the correct array, and you're updating the variable for the song array, because again, I got to pull from the right array. Then it's using the variable for the BGM file number that's randomly 1 to 54, because MZ has 54 background music files. And then it's setting the background music file number to this variable. So essentially, it's setting both the song number and the number for the background music file, right, the actual file itself, to the same value. And it's doing that depending on what the category is. So if the category is 1, set it to these values. If it's 2, set it to these values. If it's 3, set it to these values. Once that's done, and again, these are unique to me, where if the player is in a particular location, it updates the display that's being shown of either the category name or the song name or the song number. Then this is where it is getting the this one, the background music ID for script. That's what's being used in the script to play the actual audio file. And then this one is to actually display the name to the player. So with this one, the audio script, this is exactly the same that I showed you at the beginning, but instead of a number for the position of the array that you're pulling the string from, it's a variable instead. So this is using variable 1018 to identify the position number of array 1029. That's the variable 1029, which is an array that you're pulling from. Okay, and if you go up here, 1018 is one of these numbers, right? 1018. So that's where it's getting that from. Again, this is unique to my game. It has to update certain things depending on where the player is. And then this is the script that does all the work for playing the background music. So so this is the actual script. Audio manager dot play BGM, and then this is an open parentheses. Then there's a curly bracket. then this is getting an object. Okay, so name colon, and then normally this would be the name of the BGM file. But I don't know the name of the BGM file specifically. Instead, I'm storing the name of the BGM file in a variable. So that's what this is. So instead of actually typing out the name of the BGM file, it's taking whatever's stored in that variable, 1003. So $game variables.value, and then in open and close parentheses, 1003, comma, and then volume. It has to get the volume. Again, you could have a number here, right, in the script, but instead I want to use the value that's being stored in the variable 680 because the player is changing it. So I'm going to use a variable to decide what the volume is, and then comma, and then you set the pitch, right? So again, this is an object. There's a colon here, and the pitch is 100. That's just, you just set that depending on what the pitch you want it to be. Closing curly brackets, closing parentheses. And that's the script. Okay, that is the script for playing an audio file, and normally this would be a file name, like a dot, like an OGG file, but you're actually but I'm actually using a variable, and then the volume again would be normally a number, but I'm using whatever value is stored in a variable to do that. So that is the script, okay, to play a specific background music audio file, and then this is unique to my game. It's updating certain things within the game, and that's pretty much it. That script right there, and again, the what's happening here is I am just taking to get the ID, right? The background music file ID or name, if you will, that is going to be the actual file that's going to be called is pulling from an array. It's pulling from array 1029, the variable 1029, which is an array of file names, and this is the position, right? The position from that you're pulling from in the array, and I'm using a variable to get that. Okay, and that's pretty much it. That's all. So for me, there's a lot more to it because I want to display the category of the background music. I want to display the name of the file that's different from the actual file name that the system uses, right? That the database uses. And I want to display those to the player. So I got to do extra things. But realistically, if you take right here, right, and you don't even need all of these. If you just have a series of 20 audio files, you take an array, you create the array, and the values inside the array are the actual BGM file names. So it's the name of the file that's saved in your audio folder, right? So Battle 1, Battle 2, Battle 3, Battle 4, Battle 5, Battle 6, Battle 7, and that is the same as the names that are here, right? Okay, and you could look in your audio file, in your game folders to find these names too. But they have to be exactly the same, right? They have to be exactly the same. No spaces where there's no spaces, and that sort of thing. So if you create the array, right, and then you take a variable that you're going to use to identify the position that you want to pull from in the array, and you wouldn't even need this because this is only necessary if you have multiple arrays that you're going to pull from. If I only had one array 1010, then when I get down here, I wouldn't need to use this part. See how this is 1029? I wouldn't need to use this part here. Instead, I would just use the number 1010, right? So the only reason I'm using this extra variable is because I have a bunch of arrays that I want to pull from. And I don't know which one the player has chosen. So if you only have one category of music, one array storing all of your music files, names, then you don't need this extra variable. You just need an array to store your BGM file numbers, a variable to store the value that you want to use for the position number, and then you make a variable for assigning that, essentially. So, whoops. So right here, right, your variable that is saying this right here would actually be $game variables dot value, and then inside here would just be your array variable, the value of the variable that is storing your array, right? So 1010, and then this would be this variable to decide the position number. Right, and the way you would do it is if you were doing just one file, right? All you'd have to do is just have the one random number generation. So if you had 54, right? If you had 54 background music files, you would just randomly you'd say, hey, the background music number, it's going to be set to, right? It's going to be set to a number 1 to 54. And it's going to randomly pick one of the numbers 1 to 54, and then that's what you use for the position to pull from in your array. And these arrays can be huge. So I can't remember which one it is. It might be 2003. So RPG Maker 2003, it has 141 files. So it's still going. It's still going. It's still going, and it's still going, and it's still going, and it's still going. These are all, there it goes, and it's still going. So these are all the BGM file names within that array. This one has 141 that it can hold, and I mean hold more than that. So these arrays can be very, very big, and that's it. Let me just show you an example of this. So this should be fine. Let me just play test. Okay, I'm gonna go here. Turn the volume up. Okay. Now I'm going to turn off the category. I'm going to turn off. Right now it's set to fixed. The background music is fixed. So I'm going to turn this off, and it's going to start randomly playing different background music. So right now it's playing RPG Maker MZ, Song 1, which is Battle 1. Let me turn that off. Okay, this is just for testing purposes. It's telling me that it's gonna go to XP. There we go. It changed to XP. Changed to XP. Changed the song number. Changed the battle number. And in 1 minute, in 1 minute's time, because this is set to 1 minute, in 1 minute's time, it's going to pop up with a test message down here, and it's going to tell me I'm changing category, I'm changing the song, I'm changing the song name, and it will work perfectly fine, or at least it better, because I've been testing it. So we'll just give it another, should be maybe another 20 seconds or so. It's going to fade out, and then it'll randomly pick a new category and a new song. And you'll notice down here it's changing this. I can also change the song number. to the song number for my game, and it'll change that. Oh, here we go. Right, so it's changing, right? This is only for testing purposes. Now it starts playing again. Now it's playing RPG Maker MZ, song 26, and this is the name. And if I switch to songs, it's playing song 26, right? And then what'll happen is if I stay here for a minute, it's going to basically change again, and it's going to change based on whatever it chooses. Okay, so I'll just for the purpose of the sit here less than another minute, and this is how it works. Okay, so we'll let it go here another minute, less than a minute. Oh, here it goes. Now, this is again for testing only, and you noticed it changed category, it changed number, it changed name, and now there's more choices because it's now song 85. Because when this is fixed, that means the player can change whatever the song they want, and that's it. That's how it's working. Okay, so again, it for the purposes of randomly changing background musics, if you want to do it this way, all you need is one array with all of your background files that you want to use as strings, right? You have to put the name of it in quotation marks, separated by commas. Don't make any mistakes with the commas because it will mess you up. And then to use the script the way I am, you need a variable to store that you're going to use as the position number, right? So if I randomly change this from 1 to 100, it's going to pull from the position 1 through 100, right? And you remember I used this as, I could have used this as 0, but instead I just made this a blank string, right? And then with your variable that you're going to use in the audio file or in the audio script, you're just going to basically either use a number or a variable to tell it what position to call from the array. Okay? And again, if you're only using one array, you don't need to use a variable here. You can just use a number. I can just put 1010 here. I can just put 1010 here instead of using the value of the variable. And once you have those three things, the array, the number, and then this value, all you need, I mean, again, you need to do the random changing, right? You need to change the values randomly, but then all you need is this script here, right? And that script, once again, is right here. Audio, and make sure you pay attention to your capitals and your spacing. So audio, so capital audio, capital manager, period, lowercase play, capital B, and then GM. Make sure you have your open parentheses, your open curly bracket, name colon, then I'm using that variable, that's the ID, that's the file name stored inside that variable, comma, then volume, because you need to set the volume, right? And then I'm using a variable for that, okay? And then comma, set the pitch, and then you have your closing curly bracket, your closing parentheses, right? And you just have to be very careful about that you don't miss any parentheses or anything like that. And that's pretty much it. That's how it works. So hopefully that's clear. Hopefully that makes sense.
and hopefully that helps folks. But even if you don't want to use it for background music, I am now using I use a lot of arrays, and so now I'm using that variable to identify what position from the array that I want to pull something from, and it works great. Okay, especially if you have a lot of different options rather than just one array. If you're using a bunch of arrays. All right. Well, I hope that helps people. I hope it's clear. It may be confusing to some. It may be confusing. It was certainly confusing to me for a long time, but hopefully that's clear, and hopefully this helps some folks. And I just want to say, happy gaming, happy game developing, and I am gonna post shortly just some highlights of the current status of my Sudoku game. It's coming along pretty good. So all right, well, until next time, folks. I hope you're having a great day, and if you do find these videos helpful, please please consider liking, subscribing, getting notifications, and feel free to leave comments. And I try to answer comments whenever I can. And again, I'm not saying this is the best way to do this. I'm not saying this is the only way to do this, but this is definitely a way that's working for me, and I'm using it in my own game to allow the player to essentially pick from over 400 songs in 7 different categories, and then randomly playing songs, changing randomly, the music randomly changing as the player plays through games. All right, well, thank you very much, folks, and I will see everybody later. Bye.